playing a boring ZVZ, so buckle up and enjoy the ride for one last time today. Our opening day of the Atlanta Regionals. We started off with Europe and we finished up with LATAM, and LATAM has delivered today. In the top left side, we're looking at the main base of the man who has a great record against his opponent, and he has won 22 out of the last 23 maps against his opponent. But as we've seen today, that means nothing. This is our Mexican Zerg player, Chem.
And spawning over in the bottom right has our blue Zerg. You'll love him. You know him. It's Jim Rising.
We complimented Jimmy's setup early today, but you can really see that Jimmy is embracing that streamer life, Benny, because that is a sexy room. I love everything about it.
Yeah, it's neat, it's tidy. The lights at the back are good. You've always got to love a man's lights. And those, damn good. Are you just looking at his stuff in the background now? Because I am.
No, I was, but I thought you were going to follow it up with something as well. But if that's it, then that's it, man.
No, I love him when he's grooving, man, you know? Like, he's grooving, he's feeling it. Look at him. He's having a ball.
I mean, that's the way it should be as well, right? He has played StarCraft 2 competitively and obviously often put himself under a lot of stress in the past. At this point, it really does kind of feel that all that stress is gone. He's here to have a good time and hopefully just a couple of close games, right? Give yourself something to be excited over, or to get excited over and be proud of as well. As we have Chem opening up with, well, everything seems to be relatively normal, still mining gas. Cosmic Sapphire is, of course, a big map, but it doesn't mean that these guys are going to take it easy, because they just don't know how to do that in this region, man. It's never slow and easy in ZVZ in Latin America.
No, it certainly isn't. And these guys, you know, as different as they are on the webcams right now, you know, Jim Rising, grooving, got the nice background, and then you got Cham. I don't know what's going on in his room because I just don't see anything. But these builds are already a lot more orthodox, right? You don't have an extractor trick, you don't have a 15 pool into not really doing that much. It's far more what you're used to seeing. And third base on the go for both of them, a little bit different timings and what have you. But yeah, we're already in for a very different ZVZ just by the first 2-3 minutes.
I wish that Cham would just get like a knee poster behind him. I think that'd be very cool. Would suit the room.
A Neep poster?
Yeah, like by, you know, slide into DMs of Fear Dragon, be like, hey, can I get one of the many Neep posters you've got? I think that would look fantastic.
Actually, yeah, you're right. Or like a little Neep face in a photo frame on that far right. I see a little bit of space there. That'd be good.
Neep over your shoulder, protecting you as well. Be solid. All right, Jim Rising is firing up a couple of links, but he has not dropped a Baneling Nest yet. Chem has dropped a Baneling Nest. Now, it could just be we're going to make a nice, you know, let's say, give or take 20 Zerglings. We're going to drop the Roach one. You make these links to make sure that any bit of action in this game is going to take place on the other side of the map. And by the time that Chem wants to be aggressive, you will already have your Roaches out. He's still just making links. This is a lot of links, by the way. I do hope to see a Roach one going down in the near future, because with just links alone, I am afraid we're not going to cut it, especially now because Chem is playing a very honest, and I hate to say it, Ben, but almost normal opening. It's very defensive, couple of Banelings. He's morphing a few Banes on the left side as well, and I hope that Jim is paying attention because these Banelings are very close to finishing up, and they were there to save that Queen, and that Queen is safe for now. As I gotta say, Jim had some good micro there, avoiding some of the big detonations.
He did have some good micro there, and look at his supply as well. 41 over 82. He is ready to make nothing but units at this point in time. But Cham, he's doing a good job of just hanging on to this lead that he has, which I'm kind of wondering where it comes from. And it's just, he's got a little bit of a drone lead here, and it looks like the income tab is doing very well on his side. And he's getting ready to make some units of his own.
I think he knows Jim very well, and he knows that if Jim starts attacking, he often never stops. I have the feeling that that Roach one could have been a bit earlier, man, because we are sitting on a lot of gas on the side of Jim Rising. And I also think the second set of links, like ideally, that's the set of Roaches. And if you then want to still be aggressive, you reinforce those slow Roaches with the quick Zerglings. Now we're going links into more links into the slow Roaches, and I feel that that doesn't quite add up, as Cham has a Baneling in the mix here, making this a very awkward and uncomfortable fight for Jim Rising. Chem is playing very good so far, and it kind of feels that he's already out of any sort of trouble that he could have potentially been in.
Yeah, I mean, now he's defending well. Like, the supplies are still pretty close between them, But you got to remember, Cham is mining a little bit more than his opponent. He's also got that +1 on the way. But the fact that all these fights are happening so far away from Cham's base, he's getting lots of info before he has to truly worry about it, which is really good for him.
There are a couple of slow roaches in the center of the map, and Cham thought about surrounding them, but then he's like, no, that's actually a few more roaches than I think that these links can handle. So why not just pick up some reinforcements? He's got a lot of links still though on the left side, and it kind of feels that Jim Rising and units are all over the place. A couple of them are still at home, a couple of them are in the center of the map, and he is going to make his way into the natural of Cham, but I have the feeling that Cham should have more than enough to clean this up.
Oh, and getting that juicy wraparound as well. That's a lot of links from Cham, man. Like, I don't know how he eked out all of these while also having a bigger drone lead. It just shows that Cham was very comfortable and very ready for this kind of game because he doesn't look flustered at all.
Yeah, maybe we're getting a bit carried away now by making 10 drones because Jim is still attacking and is still just rallying everything to the other side of the map. And you don't want to find yourself in those scenarios where you think it's all over and suddenly you struggle with the final few units, but it seems like that is not going to be the case at all. Jim Rising knew it was going to take too long for the extra units to show up. And even though Cham was ready for the next phase of the game, there was no next phase in the game. It just ended. Cham looked in, honestly, total control there from start to finish.
Yeah, cool, calm, calculated, and even though the game, Jim Rising threw a little bit of a curveball at him, he looked ready for it. And it looked solid, like this compared to the other ZVZ. The other ZVZ was very crazy, but Cham looked like he knew what he was doing. Like the build order was solid, the get-go was solid, just having a few banelings in the right places in the right spots. Got to give credit to Jim Rising, though. Like the fact that he splintered off the lings in the way that he did to not just block the banelings, but deal with them with like 2 lings on 2 banelings kind of thing. It's those little skirmishes where one little move going a little bit more wrong for him. Like Cham could have been in trouble, but Cham knew what he had to do and he did it. It was just good, clean play.
Yeah, I thought Jim Rising displayed good link micro against those initial Bane links. I just kind of wish that the order would have been links, roaches, more links. Because like links into way more links while the Baneling nest is already up and there are defensive Banelings into then roaches, that doesn't really make too much sense, right? Because roaches are so slow that it takes so long for them to get to the other side of the map. And yeah, that obviously gives Cham more time to get more units out, and the more units that Cham is out, the more likely it is that Cham, with all his speed, is going to find a couple of stray roaches here and there, and that is exactly what happens.
No, yeah, definitely. Kudos for Jim Rising for trying, for sure, because everything that he set up beforehand, it looked totally like it was going to be standard. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, he had 200 gas before the Roach Warren even started to come down and what have you. So yeah, a lot of those ling engagements, those ling skirmishes, whenever you're trying to fight with just pure ling against the superior tech with the Banelings, it's more difficult for you. And Cham, the fact that he stayed on that 32 drone count, realizing like, oh, okay, I don't need to make more, I think that was really smart, because that's one way that Zergs can often find themselves in a bad spot, is when they try to overdrone. And that moment at the end there where it's like, oh, you need to know that you're still being attacked. He still had more than enough, and it's when Jim Rising tapped out. Oh, we're waiting on Jim here.
As we are just getting ready to potentially hop into our final game of the day. Of course, DreamHack will be on each and every single day this week. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. As often, you guys can see the casters from down under, the Aussies. I call them I don't know, I combined a lot of words there, but they're going to kick off these regions like Oceania, Taiwan. I think China starts next week, if I recall that correctly. And then at 3 p.m. each and every single day. Nope, that's not true anymore. It's 5 p.m. right now. Europe starts. And after Europe, this entire week, it's LATAM. Next week, the North American region will start as well.
Who do you think is the favorite right now in North America for that one? I know it's like the obvious 3, but I feel that you've got Australia with his recent form at Home Story Cup was absolutely amazing. You got players like Trigger looking like they're on the up and up, and also getting a new team to motivate them.
I think because of Trigger, we can actually really look at 4 serious contenders to win that region. And it is fun this time around, because Neeb is a bit of a question mark, right? We know that he is already, I think, enrolled in university, and he may already be spending a decent amount of time on that stuff. So he's a bit less full-time as he was in the past. With Scarlet, we never really know. At one moment, he's playing a lot of StarCraft 2. The next moment, it's maybe some Dota or Brood War. I think he hasn't played Dota in a while, but I think he's still quite big into Brood War. Australia's looking good. Australia may be the favorite, but that Canadian boy that you mentioned, Ben, he could do some serious damage in the NA region. It's going to be very fun to follow his journey.
Certainly could. And Scarlett was, speaking of games that she's played, she was also an Elephant Maker at one point. It was wild to see what she was doing. But yeah, we're going to get on into it. Data C spawning over in the top right here as our Red Zerg. It is Cham.
Taking a comfortable 1-0 lead to the W on Cosmic Sapphire. In the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of the man who is a full-time streamer and content creator, but he wants to end his SC2 career with a bang. Can he put up a good showing, a great fight here in Game 2? This is our other Mexican Zerg, Jim Rising. Jimbo.
Where did he come in that Caster Invitational?
Say again?
Where did he finish in the Caster Invitational?
So he qualified for the offline finals, but he was afraid to fly. He has apparently always had a fear of flying. He's done it a few times in his life, but right before that, I think he read an article that really scared him, or he watched a movie. So he declined his invitation to go to the offline finals. But I think he was already top 4. I think he was supposed to play me actually in the semifinals.
Aha. So I mean, Jim Rising's always been pretty good actually, and like when you see his career earnings, I know a lot of it's from the LATAM region, but it's over $30,000, which for a content creator, that's nothing to scoff at actually. Like not a lot of people can say that made $30,000 from pro gaming and stuff.
No, Jim's been around for a while. He's been very solid, and there were times where we had a lot of hopes, and he spoke a little bit to me as well about some of the highlights of his career, and he spoke very fondly of representing Mexico in Nation Wars and having a good showing back then in France, while obviously kind of being carried by Juanito, but also pulling his own weight. It was really lovely to see how fondly he spoke of those memories.
Nah, that's awesome. I mean, StarCraft's been around for long enough now that it's like... there's so many different eras and moments for people to have so many memories that you might not even think about for yourself. And it's like, yeah, StarCraft has had a lot of greatness, man. Really has. All right.
I still think about you winning Homestury Cup 1, Ben. One of my finest moments.
No, you don't.
What do you mean? That was great. You were so happy.
Dude, I was so happy then. It was amazing, man. Like I still think about that Steps of War game sometimes against Bratok. That was one of the greatest comebacks in my career.
Alrighty, that's TVT. This is ZVZ, and Cham is once more playing it very safe as he goes for that safety Baneling Nest. Jim Rising decided to completely skip the Baneling Nest in that previous game, and so far he is not showing us that he wants to make one in this game. Could still change his mind, but he could also once more just go for links into roaches. But I do hope that if we want to be aggressive, man, that we make those roaches a bit earlier and then we reinforce with the much faster link.
Yeah, and like his gas count, right? It's doing the same thing that it did in the previous game where it's scaling up a bit, but so far we don't see what it's going to be utilized for. Because you see that Cham, as soon as he had the gas, it was like Baneling Nest goes down, it goes in the front there. And then it's like, all right, I can morph in some safety Banes if needs be and kind of react to what my opponent's doing. Jim Rising, that's a lot of gas to not currently be doing anything with.
Nope, he does drop the Evo Chamber. Maybe he will just go for +1 links. It's obviously a relatively big map and feels that if he can just keep Cham at home, sneak in a quick lair, sneak in a Spire. Jim has always been a lover of the Mutas. He's good with them. Right when I talk about it, he does still drop a Roach Warren. So skipped out on the Baneling Nest, made a Roach Warren, didn't make too many links this time around. Normally, as if a Zerg wants to skip the Baneling Nest, which you kind of need to be playing an honest game, right? And be ready for some potential aggression of your opponent. You need to make either a lot of links early on or a quicker Roach Warren or just get your own Baneling Nest. Jim is honestly playing very greedy here. He's outdroning Cham and he has skipped the Baneling Nest completely. He's getting away with it for now, Ben, but I don't know for how much longer because maybe Cham is like, all right, mate, that's a bit too much greed. Maybe it's time for me to do something on the other side of the map.
Yeah, because I mean, if Cham doesn't do something with it, he's 10 drones behind right now.
Yeah,
Not very much has happened, and Jim is still droning up, and he's going up to a lair as well. I think Cham is kind of clued into what's happening here, and Jim with this scout over here, he's going to probably be thinking, oh, no, has he called my bluff?
Yep, there are a couple of Banelings in the mix, and sure, we have Roaches on the production tab, but it's going to take a little while before they are out. The drones are not being fooled, and these Baneling connections are massive with drones, with links, with a queen. And Jim is just in all sorts of trouble. He went for the complete opposite of game one. Extreme greed here. But it seems like Chem is going to punish him. There are 2 more Bailings, man, looking to connect with all the drones in the natural.
Oh, I mean, good drone pulls so far, but are they going to get good connections? I mean, decent splits overall. I mean, it's a lot of lost mining time, but that could have been super game ending, which maybe it still is to some degree, but
I always love it when you do that. You're like, it could have been. Oh, it's actually still kind of game ending, but at least not all the drones went down to 2 Banglings. But we did, of course, still lose a lot of drones, lost a couple queens, a lot of lost mining time, and most importantly, the hatchery went down. And that's obviously very problematic. And at this point, Jim is going to have a hard time getting a hatchery up again, right? Because he still has a very tiny army compared to Chem. Chem just has more of literally everything at the moment.
I think, like, Cham right now, he feels like he's saying to himself, what is this nonsense? And GG is called by Jim